is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Strap yourself in,
because we're set up, switched on and ready to go.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
Good evening, fellow Fox fans. How are we? Becoming a bit boring, this, isn't it? I mean, I don't mind talking about wins, but, Wembley again, 1-0 again, what can I say? I mean, please, give me a chance. I keep updating this. I mean, all the trophies we've won just recently. Am I going over the top a little bit? I don't know. I don't think so. 1-0 over the Manchester City, and I think it was a good game. Were you there? Pop in, let me know your comments. This is Leicester Till I Die TV. We are live on Twitter at Leicester TID, in Facebook on the Leicester Till I Die group. And if you are watching on YouTube, please to give us a subscribe. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. If you're not watching on YouTube, get over there, subscribe. We are so close to hitting our first 1,000 followers. So that would be absolutely fantastic. So give us a bit of a sub on YouTube. Tweak me buttons. I like my buttons being tweaked. Matthew, good evening, sir. Didn't see you yesterday. To be honest, I was there. I was in the crowd. Do you not see me streak across the pitch? Hey. Ankit, good evening to you. Congratulations to a Chelsea fan. Thank you very much, sir. But mention again and remind me of the FA Cup final. It's old hat. We're just going to remind people about the Community Shield now. Oh, it is like the English Super Cup when you think about it. I mean, Brad, let's be honest, Brad. If we'd lost, it was just a pre-season friendly. If we win, it's a major English trophy. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Chris. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say a major English trophy, but it's always nice.
It is when you win it, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. Maybe not. It's always nice to win. It's like an added bonus over a pre-season friendly for me, in the sense that it's something that a lot of us have never seen Leicester win. Yes, Leicester have won it before. There's a good 50-year gap between when we won it and this one. So, it's just something nice to see a club pick up. It's something you check off the football bingo card, you could say.
It is. So, and I'm sure it's something that this gentleman's team would like to do. Tycho, thank you very much for your congratulations. I wish Arsenal could do the same. Mate, it wasn't so long ago when you were. Just give it time. It's been one season. It has been one. Don't forget the season before last season, you won the FA Cup. So it hasn't been a while. It hasn't been that long. Stick with it. You'll come back. Congratulations from Argentina, Matthias. Thank you very much. We're champions. I think we're champions of England. I do think that does count. I know Brad doesn't agree with me, but, to me, in Spain, it's the Super Cup. In a lot of countries, it's the Super Cup. Maybe us British are too reserved. To me, I'm going to start calling it the Super Cup now, Maddison was absolutely brilliant, according to JB. I'm not so sure. Not so sure. Madias, again, congratulations, Monty. So proud of this team. We are champions again. Munsey, good evening, sir. Man United fan there. You played the City second team. We played the team that they sent down. And I think you'll find, Munsey, that actually their back four cost more than our entire team. So how do you work that out? When their back four costs more than our 11 players and their back four gave us a penalty, maybe they should have played the first team then. I think they still have lost. Rudy, good evening, sir. How the devil are you? Hope you're staying safe. You have to win the FA Cup or Premier League to even compete for the Community Shield, so it's a very rare trophy to win. Ankit, just record our loss versus Arsenal in the FA Cup too. I better just remember we're European. Yeah, all right. You won a little European trophy, Ankit. You know, we'll give you that. Aki isn't good enough. Well, Pep thought he was. Pep thought he was worth a few million, but there we go. So, Brad, 1-0. I thought that. I mean, Munsey did make the point there that it's second team. We can only play what you're pitted against. Before we actually get onto the players, I certainly thought there was only one set of fans there.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly sounded like that when I was watching it. It was very, very noticeable. The most noticeable part of it would be when they brought on the $100 million man in Jack Grealish. The booze outweighed the.
Did they bring him on? No, I didn't. Didn't notice that there any difference in the play.
Well, you notice the difference in the crowd reaction. The Leicester fans booing him, and the Man City fans whispering cheers. I guess you could say, but they weren't cheering. They weren't loudly cheering it. But there were some fair points made in that comments, and my retort back to that saying, "Oh, they played the second string." Well, that's because half the first team is genuinely out or still recovering back from the Euros. They're not really there. Jack Grealish, I don't know if it was actually that wise to play him in the Community Shield. I mean, to give him minutes under his belt, I guess, but he's had a pre-season with Villa. I would have been inclined to have given him the start over 20 minutes, try and do something. I wouldn't have put him under the spotlight, but I get why they did it. It was Wembley. It was an occasion. He's in front of the cameras. But yeah, Man City might come out and say, "Oh, we only put out a second string." Well, no, you had no choice. And that second string, like you pointed out, Chris, was still full of stars.
Yeah,
they've had the same pre-season. Both teams came into this, and this is the first time Pep Guardiola has ever lost back-to-back finals. The one in the Champions League and this one. Pep does not like losing, so try telling him it was only a Community Shield or a B side. That was the best he had to go on offer, and he was like Brendan. Brendan was not far off the starting 11, the starting 15 players you're probably going to see the most of this season. But both sets of fans probably went into the game knowing or having a rough idea what their lineups were going to look like going into it. So,
I mean, they actually won. They'd played 3 pre-season friendlies going into this, Man City, all of them against lower league opposition. Not, to be honest with you, unlike ourselves, before we played Villarreal, but they'd won all 3 and very comfortably. So again, this second string team, I would probably say, would give Man United a run for the money. And like I said, 140 million on 4 back players, worth more than our whole team put together. We hadn't got our main defender in there, and we'll come on to him later, the gentleman that stood in for him. But I just thought that first half, it was so very, very. In fact, I think we ran the first half.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you'd be, struggling to argue saying that Leicester didn't control not just the possession of the football, but the football in an attacking sense in its entirety, apart from a free kick. It was well saved by Schmeichel early on. It was well saved. By Gundogan, that second string player, Gundogan. But it was, and it just shows the testament. There was probably more, if you really looked at the depths of it, and the expectations of where both teams were preparing for their season. Obviously, this is technically a bonus game. This is what this is your reward for winning the FA Cup and the League, a bonus pre-season, which is why it gets tagged as being a glorified pre-season trophy. We're not going to change people's opinions with that. But you could see by the lineups that there's probably more pressure on Leicester because Leicester were more ready, if that makes sense. They were definitely putting out a lineup that you could suggest that could play the first Premier League game of the season.
Oh, definitely.
And the same with when the subs came on in the reshape, whereas Man City were forced to kind of continue the trend of originally it was players away from duty. That's why these youngsters were playing and playing every week. And I think I'll bring it up after this, but I think Leicester and Man City both made the right choice tactically with who they agreed to play, i.e. lower league oppositions. But that's a whole different topic. But I think you could tell, again, like I said, with the lines up, you could tell that Man City were kind of filling the gap and needing to keep fitnesses up and get as many of their first team players out on that pitch before next week. And you saw that with the substitutions in the lineups. And that probably, it was good to see Leicester have a strong first half the way they did, because like I said, they were more expectation that Leicester were going to dominate the game, having more first team figures available for them.
I think JB here is actually Maddison's agent trying to get a few extra £1 million on his contract there. I thought Maddison ran it, to be honest, played lovely balls through to the wings. To be honest with you, and I'm looking, if you go onto our website, leicestertillidie.com, and click onto last match, you'll see there who our man of the match is, and we'll come up to that later. We also now, the guy that writes the report for me, Brian Langston, he actually rates all the players and for each game, and he'd got sort of Maddison as a 7. He had a fair game, but he was far from man of the match.
He was far from man of the match, but he also wasn't too far away from it. There was some very good performances that probably overshadowed an all-round good team performance in the sense that, I felt, and he's someone that you're going to talk about, so I'll just say his name now, but I actually really thought Daniel Amate had a sterling job considering everything that's gone on in the last few days. I think he had a really good game. The thing is, Man City, for all their talent and for all the possession they had in that second half, apart from Gundogan's free kick, I don't remember Kasper having to do too much.
No. So
from a Leicester perspective, everything kind of fell into place more in the attacking front. I thought it was very good in the midfield. Indeed, he had, indeed, it was just Indeed, wasn't it? I could say it was one of his best games, but he's probably had better, and he probably will have better. But it was just like one or two, maybe 3 names. Harvey Barnes had a great game, first proper minutes under his belt game, in a more competitive style. Played really well, looked lively. The foundations that were laid from that game and how it was done, a lot of things were good, and they probably overshadowed players that didn't really do get much or impact much on the attacking front.
Charlie says there, and Charlie, big up Charlie. I'm on his show tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, I think it is. Man City fan, Dugout Daily TV channel. Check it out. He does a lot of non-Man City coverage as well, watch-alongs and championship. You guys played well. Didn't see you down there, Charlie, by the way. I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't looking, but I didn't see you. You guys played well. You gave us a good test. I'm not really bothered about the result. Congrats. To be honest with you, it's exactly what we would say if we'd lost. Like I said before, you lose, it's just a pre-season friendly. But, thanks for coming on, and, thanks for the congratulations there. Let's talk about the back four, because we lost Fofana, obviously, to bad injury. We're not going to see him this season. Well, we won't see him this year. I wonder whether we'll see him this season or not, to be honest with you. He's young. That's the only thing I think that's in his favour. But they found it was a little bit worse than it was. But, when you look at that lineup we put out, it was a very strong lineup.
Yeah, it was. the biggest question mark was quite obvious after that sinister tackle in a friendly against Villarreal. Meant that the biggest question mark was going to be over whoever was selected to fill the boots for this game, because this was, like I said, and we've pretty much said this since the off, but this was definitely a game where you're looking at the players he brings on and the starting 11 as your biggest indicator of what you're going to see the majority of Leicester use this season. Obviously, as much as Amarty's done a decent job when he's been called upon for us, obviously there is an obvious name that would be replacing Amarty in Fofana. But yeah, the lineup looked pretty strong. The defence is probably the issue that's taken a bit of battering. We've got James Justin still out to November. I think in a way we're thankful that James Justin's got some chance of definitely being back in training by 2022. He probably got away with a harder break than he could have. It's just unfortunate the ligament damage, which tells you how bad the tackle was, is not pretty. So unfortunately we won't see him until at least 2022. But Brendan made it sound fairly confident that he can get him on the field come the end of the season. So that'd be nice. And obviously by that time we'd have James Justin back. So you kind of just got to try and put a positive spin on a very big negative. There was strong talks, and Brendan's already made it abundantly clear that he might go into the window. Yeah. But if that team was to line up against Wolves, I'd be fairly confident with what I saw of Daniel Amarty to be confident in him doing the job for the time being.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there was a lot of talk before the game. Would he go to a back three? I think a lot of people were saying, please don't. There was the would he drop Ndidi into the back four? But then we've said with Brendan, he's very much conscious of by moving players about, although he will do if he has to, obviously. And it's good that he's got players, and I think he quite likes players that can play in multi-positions. But what you gain by putting Ndidi in the back four, you lose it. You lose out from what you lose from him not being in midfield.
Although maybe not with Zamora now.
Sorry?
I said maybe not with Bakary Samori there.
Well, there is that. But
he had a blinding impact on the game. I've got to give credit where it's due. The subs, he was a standout one.
But Amarty sort of, when I saw him, I thought, oh, okay. But, he is a defender by trade. And I've got to be totally honest with you, fantastic. And if he it reminded me a bit like when Mendy came in last season for Ndidi. You're thinking, oh God, no, not Mendy. And then he absolutely played brilliantly. And if he plays that well for the start of the season, it's one less thing to worry about. And we'll come on after your comments on this about who we might be going for. But he's given Brendan something to think about.
Yeah, he definitely has, and it's very good to see. And this is why I spoke so well and so highly about how Leicester have handled their pre-season, the way they've gone about it, making it about the squad, getting everybody ready. So the effects of the last few seasons with injuries and obviously the lockdown happening the season before, and everything that's gone on, I think Brandon's taken the right approach to get absolutely everybody he considers has a potential to play some part in the upcoming season. We've already seen that with Kieran Dewsbury-Hall. We've obviously seen it with Mendy last season. We're seeing it with the likes of Daniel Amarty, that other youngster that we've seen a few times this season, the defender as well. I'm hopeless with their new names. It's only because this pre-season's the first time I've really seen them. You're just seeing that throughout it. It's very good, and it fills you with that confidence, because there was talk that Leicester might go after another central defensive midfielder last season, but then obviously Mendy proved his worth, and Brendan felt not necessary. Obviously, I feel the injuries, and unfortunately, as much as Mendy has done well in that position, someone like Samora, the new guy who's come in from Lille, he's obviously there to reassure that position. So maybe if something drastically does happen, and indeed he is needed to fulfil his centre-back role, which if people don't know about it, he started out as a centre back. That's why occasionally Brendan's played him there. Going back to your point about multiple positions, you might see that he's got more faith in having someone like that sit in front of Ndidi to help him out with his centre back duties.
So good evening to Melina. Thank you for joining us, Melina. Hope your dad is well and improving. Always thinking of him there. Give him our best from everybody here at Leicester Till I Die. Very nice to have somebody who's good looking for a change. You know, disrespect, Brad, on the screen there. And talking of that,
refreshing. It's refreshing.
Talking about having somebody good looking on the stage, on the screen. Good evening, Craig.
Good evening, Chris. Good evening, Brad.
It's like you need to move. He said someone good looking's coming out. I'm looking for him. Oh, there he is. There he is. The imposter glasses come off.
It's a disguise he wears. That's why I didn't recognise you at Wembley yesterday.
Exactly.
I was waving furiously at you, mate. You didn't wave back.
Well, I know I could pick you out.
Just not the front hand.
Yeah, you were the guy in the blue shirt, weren't you?
Yeah, exactly. And the new, have you noticed the new? It came in time. Yeah. It came an hour before I left the house. How good timing was that? But I was the guy. Somebody said before, was I the guy that ran on for the selfie with Madison? Tell you what, I'd have had a heart attack before I ran down all them stairs. I'll tell you, I wouldn't have made it.
Oh, that was one of the best things I've seen. I was low down behind the goal, so. So I had a really good view of that. They appeared from nowhere, and the fact that Madison decided to take the shot, take the selfie. No, it was brilliant. So,
and I mean, the guy is going to get punished. He's going to. There's certain things that I'm not going to talk about behaviour-wise because I don't want to give people the airtime. But do you know what? He'll be punished. He'll probably be banned from coming down the King Power. But mate, I mean, I have to say, the audacity of it and the fact that Madison joined in and actually posed for the selfie. What a guy!
Oh, it was brilliant. You're going to be eating out on that for the rest of your life. It was.
Aren't you just
do it at Wembley? I mean, just throw up a few questions about the security. To be fair, but.
Well, I was going to say that, and I apologise to sort of rub this in, Brad, but me and Craig were there yesterday. I spent, you go onto the app, and I had my QR code ready, and my son and his girlfriend had done the tests before. We were not asked once, and when I went through security, I had a bag with me that had like 3 zips on it. I opened one zip, he looked inside, and that was it.
Yeah. To be fair, Chris, you are a celebrity, so I'm surprised you just didn't get waved through.
To be honest, I did get to use a special entrance. I've got to be honest with you, and I've said that line many times. Believe me. But were you sort of searched and checked and asked that to show you your health pass?
I sort of flashed the health pass. One of the guys who. As long as it looked like it was vaguely NHS-y, I think if you could have just had an NHS logo on your phone, you'd have probably got through, to be honest. Yeah, it was a little bit lax. And then, I don't know which entrance you used, Chris, but where the majority of fans were being herded for the lower tier was absolutely ridiculous. And... How they have not learnt from what happened at the Euros is beyond me. There should have been, I think there were 12 turnstiles in that section. They only bothered opening 8, and this was with about 20 minutes to go. The crowd was just ridiculous. I'm surprised it didn't, work out worse in terms of people surging and pushing forward. Luckily, everybody was in decent spirits, but
yes.
Another 10 minutes.
And they'd had decent spirits as well.
Yeah, another 10 minutes with the same level of crowd, and it would have got a little bit ugly because it was just ridiculous, the amount of people who were trying to get into one entrance.
If you think if that had been a full attendance, 100% attendance, that would have been, and I presume it was the same at the other end, although there wasn't quite as many Man City fans, of course, trying to get in. But there, and I just realised that you couldn't see me with the other overlay. That although having said that, that might be an improvement there. You go where you caught that is my
that's
head.
leave that there. That's fine.
Thank you. I'll come to Brad with this. Let me just get rid of that. I'll come to Brad with this first because I was just going to ask him this before you popped up. Where are we? About Amati. Does it? And Scott asked this. Do you think Amati seems to play better in a back four as a centre back rather than other positions he's played in? Or I guess, does he play better in a back four than a back three?
Yeah, I think he does. I think it's quite evident that he's played a lot of positions for club and country in returns to defending. He's played right back, centre back, central defensive midfielder. He's played in a back three and a back four, and he just looks more comfortable and more at ease. I think he's one of them that doesn't like a lot of voices around him, and if he's got 2 or 3 players around him, sometimes when he's got the ball at his feet, he's a bit hesitant. He doesn't always look up, so he's probably more trying to hear only one voice around him. Maybe it just seems to be his way when he's got the ball at his feet, that if he's only got one partner in crime next to him, he knows where he is, whereas if he's got one either side of him, he tends to get a bit panicky. So he did look a lot more comfortable in a four, or maybe it's just Man City, because he also did play against Man City when we beat him by 5 goals to 2. So maybe it's just Man City he likes playing in defence against. I don't know.
Would you agree there, Craig? I mean, he had an amazing game, and I must admit, I groaned because we were walking up Wembley Way. Sorry, but I have to keep mentioning this, Brad. As we were walking up Wembley Way, and they announced the team outside, we only heard it from Soyuncu onwards, so we didn't hear Amati. And we're thinking like, oh, hang on, who? And then when we've realised it was Amati, you're like, oh, really? He was like, but I've got to be honest with you, credit where credit's due. He came through, and we've said before, and you've certainly mentioned it, Craig. We just mentioned it before you came on. You know, Brendan is very aware that the other option of bringing Ndidi back, what he might have gained by that, he would have lost in midfield.
Yeah. It's interesting because we've got 3 different perspectives here. I mean, I think you were a lot higher up in the ground, Chris. I was quite low down, almost watched the game through the net. And then, Brad, I assume you watched it on TV, so you got a different perspective and all the different replays and angles or whatever. But I was watching Amati quite closely, to be honest, and he seemed a lot more comfortable. His communication with the back four was better. He was pointing and talking a lot. He didn't seem to get dragged towards the ball too much, that he has done in the past and pulled out of position. I think Pereira had a great game, so I think that helped. All the back four looked pretty solid to me, and I thought he had a really solid game. He didn't try and do anything that he's not good at, and I think that's when he gets into problems, when he tries to overplay or try and be better than he actually is. As a solid centre half, I think he did a great job. And with the first couple of games that we've got in the league, it probably removes the need to do something quickly. I think that it can probably bought Brendan a little bit of time to assess what he really needs in another centre half, because Amati did as good a job as anybody else stepping in there would have done, I think.
Yeah, and he's only 26.
Yeah, and we know, and we spoke about it before. I think you mentioned it, Brad. That this was a player who won Player of the Tournament in an African Nations probably 3 seasons ago before he got his bad injury. So he's no mug, and maybe it's his time. Sometimes we thought Soyuncu and Fofana, to be fair, both of them got thrown in at the deep end a little bit quicker than they probably would have liked to have put them in due to other injuries, and maybe this is Amati's time to show what he's worth.
Just saying hello to Dan at Turf Moorhouse TV. Thanks for joining us, Dan. Again, another great Premier League channel to check out. Even if we didn't agree at all about what the best shirts were for next season, everything I liked, he hated, and vice versa. I'm glad at least Burnley fans are putting bets on us to win these games. And that 185 quid you won there, make sure you keep some of it to treat Brad, Craig, and myself for a drink when we come up to Burnley. The away game. Ankit says here about the lack of security after the Euros. Yeah, I was surprised. Let's just go through some more comments. Even more excited hearing you guys. I'm even more excited for the Super Cup final. Well, of course, that's the European Super Cup. Like I did say, I don't know if you'll agree with me, Craig, and Brad, maybe tongue in cheek. I am a little bit here, but he disagreed that this to me is the English Super Cup, because you are putting the two cup winners up against each other.
Well, I think so. I mean, we've been to Wembley twice in the last few months, and we've beaten the Premier League champions and the European champions. So, I think we're in decent company now.
Yeah, I think we are. Brad, I mean, we're talking about, what we lose with Ndidi. I've got to mention, where and I'm not sure which Villa player it was. I know it wasn't Grealish, but one of the players that broke through from the, it started off in his own half. My God, Ndidi tracked him back and he didn't get a tackle him, but just put him off so brilliantly with the shot. And I think, to me, that was one of the sort of moves of the game for Leicester.
Are you talking about... Wait, so you're on about Ndidi when he tracked back from a slightly out of breath former Fox, Riyad Mahrez? Is that the incident?
I wasn't going to mention Riyad Mahrez at all. I was going to mention his name, but as you did. But it was a great track back, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and it was also credit due to Ricardo, who put us in that situation to begin with. I'm sure the ones that are 100% hating Mahrez for their reasons and how he was with the club, or whatever the reason is for hating him, must have felt a bit smug. And I have to admit, even though I've kind of sat on the fence and tried to see it, I'm always one of them that, I don't like the way he left the club with his attitude. It was kind of smug to see him a little bit out of shape and not able to hold his balance. He looked very out of sorts, and it was great to see. And again, it just shows, what workmanship you have, because I've seen that incident, and I'm sure you guys have seen it many more times than I have. And you've seen that incident where a player messes up, and to a degree, he ends up being the only one that chases back, because the rest of them kind of do that, and then they take 20 seconds to turn around as if to go, well, it's your fault, sort it out. It was good to see teammates chasing that down at full pelt, and it worked. He put him off balance. Let's not kid ourselves. Mahrez one-on-one with Casper, you're probably more favouring him because he spent time putting the ball past him in training, and knows Casper's go-tos. So does Casper. It would have been interesting to see it, but I'm sure he'd have had a better shot than what he did. It just shows that all that work, he'd never give up on a ball, because you can chase it and get there. And he probably set up the last few minutes to think, this is where we're going to nick it. This is our best chance to nick it now. That's happened.
Craig, we talked about this point on the preview show, and you just mentioned then Amati has probably bought Brendan a bit of time. And again, it shows the squad depth, because again, we're looking at players like Amati, and okay, with a fully fit squad, he probably wouldn't be a first choice, but we've got four fronts to play on next season. We've got the League Cup, we've got the FA Cup, and I'm sure we're going to see these sorts of players within starting those sort of games. But Vestergaard is a name that sort of has come up. And if anybody's watching today wants to get a bit of transfer news, Tuesday at 7:00, I'm going to be speaking to Rob Tanner, who used to be the old, he'll love me for that, used to be the gentleman who used to be the Leicester Mercury, Leicester City correspondent. He now works for The Athletic, which is a great online publication. I've actually written things for them myself. And he's mentioned the Vestergaard link. So I'm still fancying a Cahill, to be honest with you, for a season. But what do you think of Vestergaard?
Well, I think it's really important that we understand which side these players play on, because I think I'd mentioned Nathan Ake, who I don't think it did himself any favours for Pep the other day. But it was noticeable that he played on the left side of a pair, and that's not what we need. And and that playing on the right or a left side is really important. Now, I had the feeling as well that Vestergaard was a left-sided player. I could be wrong. I mean, he's solid and he's dangerous in the other box. But whether his time has come, I think we may have moved on a little bit from a Vestergaard these days, and so I don't know. As I said, I mentioned Zuma. Zuma is being talked about as a make weight in the Chelsea deal, the Lukaku deal. So they're obviously willing to let him go. What the price of that is, but I don't know. They've got the list. They came out and said they'd got the list, and we don't know how far Johnny is away. It could be another couple of weeks. It could be a month. We don't know. But I definitely think his performance bought some time, and it was interesting that he was chosen over Benkovic as well. Benkovic hasn't really impressed me a lot in pre-season, I must admit. He looks solid, but he looks a little bit ponderous to me and a bit slow, and not so much slow over the ground, but slow in thought to sort of realise what danger's on, and Marty's a little bit sharper in that respect.
I mean, he was on the bench, Brad. And make sure my teeth were in for saying that. Bench, Brad. Benkovic, along with Chowdhury, the two that didn't come on, didn't come on, along with obviously with Ward. I have to agree with Craig, and I never thought I'd hear myself say those words. But yeah, I just don't. A lot of people were calling for Benkovic to maybe be given his chance, but I think with Brendan having had him at Celtic for 2 seasons, where he played him week in, week out in the Scottish League, he hasn't played him at all in any Premier League game since he's come down. That, to me, says it all.
Yeah, and unfortunately, sometimes it just happens. But I think he's definitely a player that if Leicester was to sell, unlike others before, most notably Kramaric, there won't be many Leicester fans that say, "Oh, well, you didn't give him a chance." The problem is unlike others that we've had go on loan that are our players, notably the youngsters like Dewsbury Hall, Barnes. We all remember his time at West Brom and he came back. Benkovic has struggled with injuries. We've dealt with them. He's got fully fit. He's been out at loan, and he's been very, very vanilla. And it doesn't matter what you were doing at Celtic, what your time was with a manager beforehand. It doesn't matter how well you personally know or rate a player. Brendan's not going to play him, and it's quite clear. If there was any concerns about Amati when you saw him in the lineup, the fact that he's over Benkovic tells you where Benkovic is then, in my opinion. It's the same with what we've been saying about Mendy being probably now back to third choice behind Samora, and indeed it tells you where Chowdhury's position is going to be, although we haven't had the chance really. We've seen bit parts of Chowdhury. So that's kind of where Leicester are, but you would say that the question is A, how long is Evans out for? I think that's the biggest question you need to know. And like Craig said, because Amati's done so well in a high caliber game, and the only time I want to see any two Premier League teams playing against each other before a Premier League season is if it's in a Community Shield game like that, because anything else, it baffles me why you'd have it as a purposely organised pre-season. He did well. He did really well. Like I said, he flashes of how we all thought and how Mendy proved us all wrong last season. It all depends with the transfer, what are Leicester willing to do? Like Craig said, it's given us time because we've now got someone who can go, actually, we can rely on him if it's for 3 or 4 weeks. I think Brendan, I don't think he'd go for the loan for the youngsters that's been coming in playing at the back, but I can't see him spending even 15 million on one. I think he might try and do what he did with James Justin and other players before, get a youngster from lower down and have someone that maybe can do the job in a longer stage. Cahill would be not a bad shout either. Whack him some straight up experience. You're very right, Chris. He's free, so his wages demands don't really become too much of an issue then. And you can kind of negotiate a bit more with his fees and whatnot. It would be an experienced head. It'd be nice to kind of replace that Morgan Fuchs thing that we're kind of maybe missing as well. or something to go alongside Evans in that dressing room. Because let's face it, are you spending money like on Vestergaard, who's going to be expecting to come in more than just be third choice behind,
Well, we say
behind
that, Craig,
Markey?
don't we? I mean, in fairness, I didn't, and my son made this point driving back up yesterday. And I'm going to come on to your point in a second, Charlie, which is why I put it up there. But just on that point, Brad, Craig, Bertrand, I didn't think Bertrand was going to come in as first choice. I thought he was going to be coming in when Thomas wasn't, maybe a bit sort of too many games sort of thing. But, he started yesterday, Bertrand, and again had a very good game.
I thought he would be first choice, I must admit, because I think Thomas was a bit up and down. Pre-season, he's looked really good, Thomas, and he's maybe going to benefit from, one, the experience that Bertrand brings, but two, the competition now that he knows. He's going to be learning from him every day in training, probably more so than he did last season with Fuchs being there. And Bertrand, his dead ball delivery has been fantastic. You notice that Maddison's basically been kicked off everything but free kicks in front of the posts, and his delivery. And I was really impressed the way going back to the Villarreal game and the Fofana injury. It was Ryan Bertrand who was the first player in there having a pop at the guy who did it, which to me shows that he's taken on that leadership role really well, very quickly. And I think he's quickly becoming a really important part of that back four that needs that experience with Fofana coming out.
Yeah. Good save or bad miss, Brad, with Jamie Vardy? I thought it was a Schmeichel type save.
It was a good save. It was a good save. It was a very good effort. But Vardy did everything right. He shaped his body. That's why the keeper was already going the opposite way. It looked for all the world he was going to wrap his foot around it and try and stick it in the near post. At the last second, Vardy gets a different angle on it, so across the goalkeeper. Vardy must have made contact with the ball and thought, that's 1-0. Thank you very much. I'm happy. It comes with a stroke of luck. But being as I'm chief and commander of the goalkeepers committee, but it was, if you look at it from a neutral point of view, you have to be impressed. I mean, we're impressed with our second choice in Danny Ward as a goalkeeper. I know we said that neither keeper had much to do, but what he did very well. And, I suppose Pep's very blessed to have such a whirlpool of money because he made a very good save in that incident.
I think if that had been the other way around and Casper had done that, we'd be sat here screaming it was a worldie. You make your body big and it caught his foot and what have you, but, he saved it at the end of the day. And Craig, as somebody who goes for the lower tier seats, so you don't have to go up all the stairs, I was bloody pleased there was escalators there. I was trying to convince. I said to my son, I went, there are escalators. He went, no, not in a football ground. But thank God there was, because I was right up in the in the crowd. Georgie and Stephen, thank you for joining us. Georgie, congrats yesterday, guys. It was a great day for all us Foxes. It certainly was. Again, Craig, we're being linked with a few players from Inter Milan. Whether we don't know how sort of bad their situation is. Lawrence makes a very good point here, just going on for what we're saying about whether it's Vestergaard or Cahill. We just needed a season to settle in. We cannot afford that. We need someone now. And that is true, isn't it? And that's what Cahill and even Vestergaard, to be honest with you, because both of them would give us that.
Yeah, I think so. I think, again, I think one of the viewers pointed out that Vestergaard is comfortable on both feet, but is predominantly a left-sided player. Cahill, from my recollection, was more a right-sided player, so that experience would do that. Yeah, I don't think there's any point in bringing someone in that you're going to have to nurture a little bit at this stage because, Fofana's a young player, so when he's back fit, he's going to be that position. It's whether you bring in another Johnny Evans or whether you do go down the other route and bring someone in who's without as much experience. I think they'll be looking. I think they'll be looking at an experienced option, to be honest, rather than taking a risk. I don't see the point in spending quite a bit of money on a risk.
No, and we said before that they were looking for a centre back anyway, so they might be looking at a long-term signing like a Justin plus a short-term one as well. Trevor says Jimenez is no mug to defend against. Rich, thanks very much for coming in, mate. Cheers. Check Rich Sports out as well. It's a great channel, plenty of general football content. Lawrence Tiddley, I do apologise. I think I'm a bit tiddly here. Lawrence Tidy. Hopefully Justin is back soon because Bertrand just seemed to pick up a few injuries. Going back to the performance yesterday, this is what Alan, get everybody's name wrong today, gave. Let me just get rid of that comment there. Brad, teammate, manager 8, and Marty, man of the match.
The marks are fairly right. I don't think anyone can really argue with 8s all round. We knew the situation. We knew as Leicester fans roughly what we was going to get in regards to the starting 11 and the substitutes made. We've become quite accustomed to, especially if anyone's been watching all the friendlies like I have seen what Leicester have been doing, and their numbers have slowly been decreasing in the amount of changes to the first structured 11 we've been making. And Marty was a standout figure. I think the spotlight from a Leicester's point of view was on whoever took that position, and I think he did it well. He was commanding, and he's probably put, like Craig said, I think Craig is spot on. I think Brendan's kind of gone, thanks for having me back, Daniel. You've given me a couple of weeks now, because like you said, now they've got that time to bring in somebody like a Cahill, possibly, or someone like that, and say, let your experience do the work for 2 weeks while you get yourself up to match fitness sort of thing, and you're here if you needed, maybe chuck him in the Carabao Cup game when that comes along, just to get some minutes under his belt, or you maybe decide to bring another, however he decides to go about it, he's still got a player you can rely on for the opening 3 or 4 games of the season. I think all around there was quite some brilliant performances. I have to agree with you as well, Chris, and say, if I was looking at for an overall performance, though, I actually say Ryan Bertrand was probably the standout player. We've said it, all three of us have said it, and probably every presenter that's been on this show has probably said it over the last season. Maddison needed the weight taken off him. And having someone like Bertrand who can put in the ball to the quality he has been doing from them distances further out has just been an absolute another steal. To get him on a free is already looking like he's worth every penny we paid, and we got the guy on the free. You know what I mean? It's like he had a very good game. For me, I would say Marty is a fair shout for man of the match, but personally, for someone who probably went under the radar and we didn't expect or think that, hold on, he actually can take a few set pieces for Southampton because of James Prowse being their main set piece taker, that we didn't really get. We actually got more money for free in values of what he's actually able to do on the pitch. I would have given more of a match to Ryan Bertrand. Personally,
I think that's a yes there from Brad. I think if we shorten that down, I think that was a yes. He agreed with it. Craig, this is something new now we're doing. I say if you go onto our website, leicestertillidie.com, and go under last match, match reporter there, Brian Langston, who does a great. He looks at the match from a fan's point of view. But if we have a look there at how he's graded the players. I mean, Marty is given a 9. He actually agrees with Alan. Soyuncu, in Vieira, Barnes, and Daka got a 8. A few 7s and then a few 6s down at the bottom. A couple of subs got a 6, which is probably about average. But I thought Daka played very well when he came on.
He did. I mean, he does. He looks like a Jamie replacement. We've yet to see the quality of his finishing, other than the one that he got against QPR. He was very quickly onto the chance that we got the penalty from. He was quickly there. I thought he was going to go round the keeper, but he got onto that and saw the opportunity very quick and got a good shot away and a really good save. I agree. The keeper played really well, I thought. Samari's an interesting one for me because I think early on against Burton, I don't think he did himself any favours. He looked a little bit lost there. But the last couple of games, when he's come on, he looks like Yaya Toure to me. It's just the way he's a big guy anyway, but he seems to have so much time on the ball and he uses his body really well. There was an instance where he had about 4 players around him in the middle of the park and he still came out with the ball. And I think he got the free kick in the end. But he just seems to bring that sort of air of calmness. I'm thinking he's probably an upgrade on Ibora from that perspective. Someone who looks like he's got the time on the ball and won't get shrugged off it. But how Brendan gets all these to gel and fit together, I'm not sure. It's a great problem for him to have.
That's why he earns the big money, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Brad, that Samari, like Craig said, we sat there watching him, we're thinking, what the hell?
Well, yeah, like I said, he's a player that came from the French champions, and I believe didn't they win a cup or something as well? In doing so, they won that as well. So he came with a bit of expectation. He came in classic Leicester style, under the radar. No one else came barking for him, or we was picked out the top bunch. We got another great prospect for another great price. It seems he was very, very good, and probably the thing that instantly I noted with him is it seems something that he's been working on more with Ndidi. Is I noticed Ndidi seemed to be spread out a bit more. He wasn't so central in the community. He seemed to be drifting out to the left a bit, and I saw that with Samora. He seems to get around quite a bit. He's, like Craig said, he had that fantastic moment where anyone else would have maybe tried to go down and win an easy free kick and not got away with it, or would have been dispossessed and panicked. He just held the ball up, got free of it, and then they got angry and brought him down. He does look like the players that Chris has compared and Craig's compared him to. Early days, obviously, but to adapt to the English game and take it as well as him and Daka seemingly are taken to it is very promising to see, and it was good to see over the course of 90 minutes from him
Chris
playing.
is the one in the cap, by the way.
Yeah, you both named C, so you're going to get it all the time. So,
Great. I mean, was it just me? I mean, I was very confused at the start because in all the build up to it, I've had Manchester City on the left, as I thought Manchester City were the home team, but they were the one in the away strip, and I'm sat there filming what I thought from a distance was lime green shirts, and the Dills was actually we're playing in blue. Because I was on the other side, so I had when the players lined up and won the trophy, they had the backs to us. But right at the start, I'm thinking, I thought we were the other team.
I think you were correct at the start, Chris, and it was only you.
Yes, obviously. But so we were technically the home team then.
I think we were. We must have been because we got to play in the home colours. Yeah.
Maybe, like you say, maybe in that case it was just me. Definite penalty though, Craig.
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't really notice it at the time. I just saw Iheanacho got on the ball and I was looking at Daka who was steaming in to get on the rebound. But I've seen it back since, and it's a definite penalty. I think Man City weren't really complaining about the fact that it was a penalty. I think they were complaining the fact that the ref played on and gave him an advantage to go on and score, and he missed that advantage. But if that was in the middle of the pitch, that happens all the time. You get the opportunity to play a pass, and if the pass doesn't come off, I don't necessarily agree with it, to be honest, because the advantage should be you have the opportunity to do something, not that you finish it. So I'm not sure I agree with it, but I think it was, as I say, anywhere else on the pitch, he would have done exactly the same. So for me, it was a penalty.
They got 2 bookings for it.
They did.
The arguing rather than the actual challenge. But Brad, I mean, surely that's. I mean, everybody was sort of, you moan about the ref and everything, but in that instance, he did the right thing. We had a chance to score. Let's be honest with you. If Daka had put the ball in the net and the ref had blown for a penalty, everybody would have been going mad. As I say, I think he did the right thing.
Yeah, and if you actually watch the referee closely, for any cricket fans out there, you'll know exactly what I mean by this. But it was almost like he gave a soft signal, which was originally he pointed to play advantage, but he didn't point it like that, like they normally do. He pointed it originally towards the penalty spot, as if to tell them, "I'm seeing what happens. If you take full advantage, if you score from this, I'm going to award you the goal, but." You'll basically get, as if to basically say my decision is a penalty, unless no, you haven't scored, right? Penalty. I'm going to give you the penalty now. It was,
yes.
I don't know. Maybe I read too much into it because he seemed to suggest that first, and then the signal to play on. So I think it was something that was always going to be given, and even the commentators from my end originally thought, oh, he's really thought about it, and now he's only given it. One of the commentators actually said, well, he did actually seem to play advantage to wait to see how it plays out. And to my knowledge, that's the letter of the law. If that had happened to Man City, if that had been Soyuncu bringing one of their players down and give and then someone has a shot and it's saved, but then the referee pulls it back for a penalty, I wouldn't have been arguing. It wouldn't, it's the letter of the law. It took him down. It was a clumsy one. I mean, Man City just don't like us in their box, do they? Because that's 4 penalties they've given away for us in 3 games. So
I agree. We have to get a penalty in some form. And the penalty, I mean, nobody's going to get that ball off Inacho, were they, Craig?
I don't think there was a long queue of people lining up behind him to take it, to be honest. Daka may have done, but I think after the fact that he scored one against QPR and the fact that they obviously had all been practicing penalties because they knew it was going to go to penalties, there was no extra time. That he must have felt confident. And
did you feel confident? I wasn't, because of course he'd missed one recently, hadn't he?
Yeah, I wasn't overly confident, I must admit, but then I never am whenever we get a penalty. I don't think I ever feel confident, to be honest. But to be fair, all I ask for of any player, whatever you choose to do, put your foot through it. And he put his foot through it. It wasn't the greatest penalty in the world.
No.
He put enough power behind it that it got past the keeper, and that's all I want from a penalty.
Agree that Brad. I mean, yes. I mean, the goalkeeper wasn't. I don't know whether he actually got a hand to it or not. He may well have touched it, but he wasn't going to stop it.
No, he certainly wasn't, and I think that's been one of the biggest critics. It's funny how things go full circle. I'm sure you guys can remember Inacho happened to take a penalty against Crystal Palace, and I believe he hit the bar or it went over. He missed it anyway. He's never really, that was like everybody's fear last season that was going to be it. That was it. He wasn't going to find his feet. He we've seen his confidence suffer so much and have to be rebuilt over his time at Leicester that it was nice to see, especially after missing against Burton in that little pre-season cup. It was probably on his mind to put things right, and it was nice to see him step up confidently and sticking away. The keeper got a glove to it, but like you guys have said, he put a pace on it. Wasn't top corner by any means, but I'm always nervous, regardless who takes it, even Vardy. If you're a striker, if you're a penalty taker or a goalkeeper, you tend to see things that others don't. And I could see him getting a glove on it because there was power with it. I'm not fond of placement over laces when it comes to trying to generate power. Because obviously he got a glove on it, but it went into the roof of the net. That's what matters.
And Craig, you got to give it to the guy. He deserved it. It was against his home teams, his last team. So it obviously meant a lot to him. And he's been storing that up because he's that's the first goal he's got against Man City, and you can't say he didn't deserve it.
No, we've seen before, haven't we? He's an emotional guy. Kelechi is. He's. I think over the past 12 months, we've seen a lot more of Kelechi's character, not just how he plays football. We've got the opportunity because he's had the number of chances that he's had during last season. We've seen his character, and he's been interviewed a lot more. And again, he's one of these guys. It's very, very difficult to dislike these days.
He is definitely. I think the crowd has warmed to him. Talking of the crowd, penalties were coming up. Only a couple of minutes before when that penalty happened, but of course we didn't need penalties when this happened. I mean, I'm not going to apologise for playing that, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to apologise to Brad for saying it again. But you were at the FA Cup, Craig. I didn't get a ticket for the FA Cup, but how great was it to be back?
Yeah, I mean, we're almost a little bit spoilt now.
Yes.
You know, we've been to Wembley twice in the last couple of months, and as I say, we've beaten the Premier League champions and the European champions. And apparently, I think that's Scott was telling me that's the first time that Pep has lost back-to-back finals in his career. So I don't think he'll be taking it too well, to be honest, whatever the trophy was. But no, I mean, the great thing is, I think, you know, we never knew how this game was going to go. And as Leicester fans, we tend to err on the side of pessimism. But I know they had a couple of players missing, but we've got a couple of players missing as well. And, you know, we deserve to be where we are at the minute. You know, we're no pushovers. You know, we deserve to be talked about in that company at the moment. You know, and our recent record proves it. We've been very close to Champions League on the last couple of occasions. Maybe we can go one better. I don't know. But, you know, but we deserve the praise that we're getting, and we are a very, very good Premier League team now.
I just want to mention we were talking about Kelechi and how, you know, he has, I think, changed people's opinion to him with his interviews and what have you. And I think you noticed that at the end of the game, when the final whistle went, he just went up to, you know, in front of the crowd and he knelt down and did his thing to the heavens. And I'm thinking, like, he is, I think, becoming everybody's favourite at the moment, and he deserves it because, you know, he's not had the best of times here. But Craig mentioned there, Brad, about us not getting into the top four, and I've had fans of other teams coming on and saying, like, "Oh, we bottle it," and, you know, 37 out of 38 seasons, 2 weeks running. But is bottling it not? You know, if you wanted to describe bottling it, is that not Solskjaer at Man United spending all the money that he spent, not won a trophy, didn't get past the semi-finals to the Europa League, and when he got into a final, they lost that? Is that not bottling it? Is not bottling it Jurgen Klopp taking what was the best side in the world, because he literally in one season won everything that he could, to Premier League also rans when they never won a thing? Is that not more bottling it?
No, what's more bottling it is being an Arsenal, Chelsea, or Tottenham. You can't say we're bottling anything. Well, we've been consistent in Europe for 2 seasons running. Check. We've been winning silverware on a regular basis. Check. If that's bottling it, then buggered if I know what's being consistent, mate. You know what I mean? People can say, "Oh, you were 4 for so long." Yeah. Are you playing European football next season? I'm going to be a little bit arrogant, mate. I'm sick of us being the nice guys that sit on the fence and try and play both sides. We've played European football. We've won an FA Cup. We've won a Community Shield. We've won the Premier League. Arsenal, Spurs, what you got combined? If any of your empty, you know, cabinets over the last 5 or 6 years have been collecting a bit of dust, we need some for our trophies because ours getting a bit full.
Have you gone on to the Facebook Marketplace to see if we can get some spare shelving, Brad?
Yeah, definitely. We'll even pay for the Harry Kane fee and just help them feel a bit better. We'll chuck them a tenner towards it. Compensation.
I mean, I'd forgot. I hadn't realised, Craig, and I'd have probably been more nervous had I realised. I thought it was extra time and then penalties. It would have gone straight to penalties, and I'm never confident with penalties. I've got to be honest with you. But we'd made the substitutions. There was a lot of youngsters there. It would have just been a lottery, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, every penalty shootout is, or we were talking about is we wanted it down our end, you know, where there were actually some fans.
Yes.
Yeah, I know it wasn't. I knew it was going to go straight to penalties, and I think that probably would have been our best bet. Overall, they still had a few subs that they could have made, but luckily we didn't need it.
I mean, talking about that, I've actually got a picture of the. I don't know if this will come up or not, but if I take you out, you can actually see the Manchester City end. A few gaps there. It wasn't far off that, and I think everybody was commenting as they were looking around. But at the end of the day, we've won it. Monday night, tomorrow night, guys, I'm doing a prediction show, and I think I've got out of the 20 teams in the Premier League, I think I've got about 15 representatives coming on in the show. That what could go wrong? What could go wrong? And they're going to actually predict where their teams are going to come. So we're not going to have this is the first, this is the second. You know, if there's two people that think their team will finish first, they'll both go into the first slot, and we'll see where it is at the end of the season. I know where I'm going to put Leicester next season. Craig, I'll come to you first. After seen this, where you're welcome. You know, I'm a lot more confident now, having watched the Villarreal game, having watched this game, seen how Marty's done. I think we've still got a couple of signings to come. Where do you think we'll finish?
I think we're going to finish 6th.
Really? Wow.
But we'll win the Europa League, so we'll be in the Champions League, so that's fine.
I have a feeling I'm going to have a sneaky bet on the Europa League. Talking about the man who obviously knows he is the soothsayer of football predictions, North Macedonia. You're never going to be allowed to forget that, Brad. You know that.
No, I'm just gonna. I'd have been. I could have said Scotland were going to win a game. I'd have been I'd have been more embarrassed. So
But so where do you think we're going to finish next season? And then I'll tell you where I'm going to put us.
See, I think the squad has got the bug. It's got that silverware bug. It seemed that the players have seen what it means to fans. You know, it might sound cliche, but I think there was something different about Leicester fans seeing them win a cup competition. It feels a bit more extra worth towards it, a little bit. I know everybody says, "Oh, I want to win it for the fans, or I want to win it for the club," and that, but it just feels a little bit extra when it involves our club. And I'm with you, Craig. I'd actually take finishing 5th or 6th and seeing Leicester go right. FA Cup, League Cup, Community Shield, Premier League, complete it, mate. Let's go for a European Cup, and you can only go for what you're in for. I was very. Last season in the review, the only down plot I had on it was probably going out as early as we did in the Europa League. I'd like to see us push for that. And if it means we come 5th or 6th, guess what? Still more consistent than Arsenal and Spurs have been. So I'd be very happy with that. And like you said, Chris, it gets us that Champions League football who can.
No, Craig said that. But was there a position in all that? What position did you go for?
5th. I'd say 5th again. Consistency, keep it going.
I mean, the reason I took us down to 6th, I would have probably said 5th, but I think if we go deep into that Europa League, I think Brendan will end up having to prioritise some games, and it may see us just if he thinks we've got a chance of winning that and adding a European trophy, then I think he will prioritise that. Unless we've got a realistic chance of getting top 4, I think we'll go for that.
I think if it's the other way around, I'd go 3rd. If it's the other way around and he prioritises the league, I think we could get 3rd. just to kind of get
To
the
be honest
opposite
with
end.
you, I think I was asked this on one of the other channels recently, and I think Brendan, he's won the FA Cup now. He's won the Charity Shield, and whether we agree or not, it is still a trophy. There's a bloody big shield to show that it's a trophy. So he's getting a few things, this like, he's never won anything in this country sort of thing. And I think he's going to prioritise Europa, definitely. And obviously, if you win the Europa, you get into the Champions League. So I've actually gone fifth as well. I don't think we'll be top four, and I think we're all bottling it here, aren't we? No, joking aside, I think for me, when you look at what's been, it's almost like when we won the Premier League. I don't know if you guys will agree with me, but when we won the Premier League, the clubs almost sort of said that's not going to happen again, and they went out and spent and spent and spent. And it's almost like that now. It's like, hang on, Leicester, they're here to stay. Maybe it's not just a one-off season where they finished fifth and were top all, most of the season in the top four, and they've gone out and look at the money they're spending, 100 million on one player. It'd have been better, I think Pep on yesterday's performance would have been better buying one of the players from the Leicester City women's team, but it's almost like we can't compete with that. So I think they will stop. I think the top four will be the top four that will always, has been there for the last 2 seasons, unfortunately. Quick question to end with here, and it came up earlier, but it is a good question. David's asking, how do you compare the forward threat of the first half with Vardy alongside Barnes and Perez versus Kelechi with Daka and Albrighton? Come to you first, Craig, on that.
For me, I see. I've got this feeling that Brendan would like to play more of a 4-3-3 this season, and just have three, and have 2 proper wingers because Barnes looks sharp.
Yeah.
I thought Perez had a decent game, but he's not the equivalent of Barnes, and I think that's why he's been looking for that winger. And I still think we need that. Perez does well, but he doesn't affect the game enough. He doesn't get on the ball enough and come and demand the ball enough for me. I could even see him testing out Daka on a right-hand side because that pace in behind, it wouldn't surprise me.
Please no.
You've had flashes back to Musa, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me because I think he's got it. And sometimes, you just want to see them on the pitch at the same time. And it would be frightening for any defence, I think. But, I mean, of the two, I think Albrighton, Vardy and Barnes offers probably a little bit more as a mix of the two. I think Barnes is nailed on. And I think Vardy at the minute is nailed on as a starter. It's just that right-hand side that's up for grabs for me. And
I'm going to bring you in a second, Brad, but I really, really, really don't want to see Daka, who was brought in for his goals, stuck on the wing. Because, like I say, Musa never had the chance because he was stuck out there when he was used. And I can always remember the great manager that was Johan Cruyff and the great player when he was managing Barcelona. Gary Lineker was there, and we all know what Gary Lineker's strength is, but he's got a bit of speed. So he was shoved on the wing by Johan Cruyff. Just if you got a striker, and we know what Brendan's like. We said this earlier of putting square pegs in square holes. Hopefully, he's a striker. We've got 3 strikers now. We've got 4 leagues to go for. Let's hope he uses as a striker. I know, Brad, you're not going to go with the Perez option, but.
No, I agree with Craig, though. We do need to sort that right wing situation out. I think what we saw from Daka is Brendan's found already seemingly cracked the code on how do you get Vardy, Daka, and Iheanacho on the pitch and give them enough game time that they're going to be expecting. Well, he's found it by creating another system and figuring out how to use it. I noticed throughout the pre-season, and it's very predominant in the way he won the penalty for QPR, when he kind of plays as a lone striker, which he came on for a bit to replace Vardy for about 10-15 minutes on his own he sits very central, and he seems to play the same role he would just without the strike partner, if you look at the way he got about getting a rebound for Iniestro's foul, which inevitably was given as a penalty, he seems to go very central, look at his options that have got the ball and make a run regardless of what they're doing. You saw his little clever burst to the left to get in front of the QPR defender to win the penalty. It was very clever. He also did it in holding up the ball and somehow getting it to Dewsbury Hall for his goal, again in the same game against QPR. And when he started on his own, when he came on, he was very central. He was kind of like that striker that plays off the front striker role, if that makes sense, sort of sitting somewhere in between where Maddison and Vardy are going to be is where he's slotted in. So I don't see where Brendan would think to put him on the right wing. I understand where you're coming from, Craig. I do see that he's got a good pace, and if you kind of maybe right forward that position, I can maybe see it working.
That's what I mean, Brad.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more of the way Liverpool do it.
Yeah,
you know, Salah is by no means a winger or a midfield player, but they play with them and Mane very high up. So if he was going to do it, he'd have to play in that way and then high up the pitch. As a right winger, as such, no.
Yeah, but like you said, that would make the sense. And I also think you saw that because instead of trying to fit a formation where it's Vardy and Daka, and then it's, you know, inadvertently Daka and Iniestra swapping as a strike partner, with consistency in the way we've seen all through pre-season in the second half, well, at least for one half of football, the majority of it was Vardy that sat on the bench, and it was Daka and Iniestra who throughout pre-season I've been impressed with how they link up as a two up forward, because that's where I really saw, especially for the goal where it deflected in and he was right there. You know, if he's a strike partner and he's too central, he's obviously been given a little bit of leeway to go across that box, because if he was a very central striker, he wouldn't have even got to the rebound, and there'd be no confusion, probably no yellow cards about Iniestro's penalty. But to see him there shows that he reads the game quite well in a front sense. So he can be versatile with that. I do like him.
Now I know, and I'm concerned for the time here because I know Antiques Roadshow is on, and they're actually, I think that the Spurs ground this week, seeing whether they've got anything old they can find in the trophy cabinet. But I just want to leave this last question. I'm going to just come to you on this one, Craig. And I think Matthew's referring here to Manchester City. They bought the league. What I get where people come from when they say this, but you know, we look at the likes of Man City, £100 million for Grealish. It wasn't so long ago we were playing each other in the third tier, so they've been down there with us, you know. And do you not think that clubs, say like Preston, Blackburn, although you know they've obviously been there, but you know the Prestons and clubs like that, the West Broms, do they not look at us and think, God, they're buying the success. They're paying £40 million for a player here, 30 million, 20 million here. It's all about, you're not going to do anything without money, are you?
You're not. And I think if you're an ambitious club, then every season you're looking to improve. And you can either do it one of two ways. You either buy or you bring your players through. And I think that the more often that you're in that top 4, top 6, then the expectation becomes so great that you can't necessarily wait for your youngsters to come through. You know, you've got to ease them in. Man City have got such a fantastic team. If they look to improve, the only way they can improve it is by getting better players, and the better players come with a price tag, unfortunately. I think it's just the nature of it. And as I said, I think I said on a program before, unless they bring in some kind of fantasy football where there's a limit on it, then I don't see how you change it. You know, financial fair play is supposed to be there. Maybe we need to look more at the Spanish system. They've clearly got a system in there because it stopped them being able to re-sign Messi. So whereas the French seem to be able to get whoever they want and pay them whatever they want. So I would be looking at UEFA to be bringing in some standardized rules across here, because you can't have different leagues that are all playing in the same competition, in European competition. Then, but they've got different rules. It doesn't seem right. And I did see that, Dan. Thank you. But I mean, you say Man City are bringing the league, but buying the league. But if they're looking to improve, then they're buying better players, and they come with a price tag. I think it's the nature of the beast.
Yeah. And I'm going to leave everybody with these thoughts: is that Daniel Amati has won more trophies than Harry Kane. Luke Thomas has won more trophies than Jack Grealish. I'll just leave it at that. Guys, thanks so much for coming on. We're back to football. We're back to proper Premier League football now. Wolves up next week. Not a bad start. I forgot. Are we actually kicking off on Saturday with Wolves, or is it Sunday?
Saturday at 3 p.m. Who'd have thought?
Saturday at 3, bro. That means we don't have to get our cocoa and nightcaps out for the post-match, Brad.
No, that makes a nice change, doesn't it? That makes a nice one. We'll soon be chucked back into the mix of that, mate. Don't get too comfortable.
No, I won't.
And for Christ's sake, if it's a 0-0 game or a boring 1-1 game, right, mate, I'm not doing it. Right, we'll just post the score up and live out for 40 minutes. It'll be more interesting than talking about it. I can't handle another boring game against Wolves.
I will get a substitute ready. Craig, thank you so much, mate, and I will see you on Friday at 7 for the preview.
Yeah. Cheers, Chris. Cheers, Brad.
Cheers.
Bye,
not
everyone.
a problem. And Brad, thank you very much. I'll see you probably 5:15, 5:30 for the post-match next Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt, mate. No doubt.
Cheers. Okay. Thanks to Craig. Thanks to Brad. And thanks to you guys for watching. Don't forget that if you do want to go and watch us back, and of course you would, because, 3 good-looking guys like this, why wouldn't you want to look at us back? YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV. Please go and give us a scrub. You can give us a scrub if you want. I'm open to anything. Give us a sub. I prefer the sub to the scrub, but tough times. Any port in a storm. Please subscribe, Leicester Till I Die TV. We're trying to get to the 1,000. We're about 130 odd off, so please do that. And if you want to listen to it again while you're doing the washing up or the gardening, that's fine, because you can get us on the podcast. We are on Apple iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Google, Podcast Addict, Anchor, just to name but 6. And like I said, this is coming up next week.
The Premier League is back, and we've got it all covered here on Leicester Till I Die TV. Subscribe.
Please do. That was an order. Thanks for watching. Community Shield winners, FA Cup winners, Premier League winners, League Cup winners. It's got to be the Europa Cup next season, hasn't it? Stay safe, guys. See you later. See you on Monday for the prediction show. Where does everybody think they'll finish? Find out Monday night at 7. Have a good Sunday.
Hello, Matt Elliott here. Be sure to watch Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and follow all their social media platforms for all the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye, and see you next time.
to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share and get involved. Join us next time.